No. All right. Welcome back to another episode of Pables and Jables, where us non-critics criticize our favorite movies and TV shows. It's been a while.
It
It's been
has
a
been a while.
while. Took a little
Good to be back.
hiatus, but we're back. Last of Us season two is here. That was kind of our starting, kind of what we started with when
Yeah.
we started the podcast a couple years ago with Last of Us, and we did some more stuff. But I think we want to get back to it. We love doing this. It's fun. It's a way to catch up and just talk about stuff we hate and what we love in movies and shows. I shouldn't say favorite movies and TV shows. It's really just criticizing the movies and TV shows that we
Yeah.
want to talk about. Because
We mostly talk about what we hate.
yeah, I mean it's more fun that way. You know what I mean? It's more fun that way. Especially you. You definitely more talk about what you hate. But um, but yeah, for those of us who forgot who we were since it's been so long, I'm JB.
Brian?
And today we'll be covering season two, episode one of the HBO series The Last of Us. The episode is titled Future Days. I think, Brian, what I want to do first before we get into the episode is maybe give like a couple minutes of spoiler free expectations for this season. And I think to set the stage, you played the second game, right? I did not. And it was the same thing with the first one, right? You played the first game, I did not. So it was kind of a good little dynamic we had there with you knew kind of where they were going.
Hmm.
So I would like to hear from you a little bit about what you expect from this season.
Yeah. So I think that season two, there's a lot of potential here. In terms of season one, I think that the first game, narratively, it's pretty hard to mess up. The story itself is really, really good. So as long as you capture that beginning, the end, and capture the relationship, it's pretty hard to miss. Right. The second game, though, I actually had a lot of issues with in terms of the narrative structure, some of the choices that they took some of the characters with. And there's a very important event that happens very early in the game as well that I want to see how the show handles it, right? So, but there's a lot of room for improvement, I think, from the second game that I think the show could really improve on. And I saw some glimpses of that. I saw some things that I liked, some things I didn't like. But it seems like, this season, just like last season, there's going to be quite a number of changes. So I'm a little apprehensive in terms of where they're going to go with that. From our conversations last time, there were a lot of misses, some hits with some of the changes that they did. So I think that this one, I'm definitely excited. If they go with the same structure as the second game, this is kind of a scenario where I think it would benefit them to change quite a number of things. So that's how I feel so far.
Yeah, and I feel like that's interesting because I feel like the first season was not that way, right? Because the game was so highly regarded,
Yeah.
and still is. And I know it was more, you wanted them to kind of stick to the script, like what the game
Want them to
did.
stick.
Exactly. Yeah. Which from what, our conversations, and I mean, it sounds like they did for the most part. There are some things they changed and like, for the show, but overall, I think they did an okay job with that. But yeah, and I know that the second game is way longer, right? Like the
Much longer.
playtime. Yeah.
They're
So,
also, from my understanding, this second season, the second game is getting broken up into two seasons. So there's going to be a season three.
okay, I did not know that. So thank you. Because I was gonna say I'm curious to see how they'll fit a longer game into the same like kind of length of a season, but I like that. So I mean that's good. They don't have to rush things, which I hate when shows feel like they need to do that. Um, so yeah, I think for me as someone who hasn't played the game, I expect kind of what we got in the first season in terms of quality.
Hmm.
I think, the first season we both kind of came away with it being like it was good. It was good. It wasn't amazing. It didn't blow our minds, but it was good. Like we enjoyed it. I think most people did. And I kind of expect that from this season too. I would love for me to be blown away by this season and it'd be better than the first. But I think I don't know. I could see them kind of sticking to that same path. It's exciting that they introduced some new characters that we
Yeah.
didn't see in the first season. So, and I know we'll probably get more of that. So I'm excited for that. They'll be kind of, refreshing. But yeah, I mean, my expectations are, I think, pretty moderate. Like I don't have crazy high expectations for this season, but I still expect it to be a high quality show, very suspenseful. We already got that in the first episode. Like they
Yeah.
definitely know how to build suspense, which
Yeah.
is a huge part of it. And I think the big thing I want, which I think a lot of people want, is I want more infected. Like I want to
Yeah.
see more and encounter more infected because I think the first couple episodes in the first season did that. Maybe just the first episode, and then they kind of got away from it. And except for parts here and there, like it wasn't a lot of that. And I mean, that's the whole world, right? Like that's why they're in this
Yeah.
situation. Is there? It's
They killed
post-apocalyptic,
what, like
infected.
they took like what, three infected out the whole show, and then they got attacked by a horde, so
Yeah, yeah, and that was kind of it. So I'm definitely hoping for that, but I think yeah, let's hop into it. I do want to go through just in case people kind of forget some of the cast members we have on this show. We have
uh,
Pedro Pascal, he's everywhere. If you're watching
everywhere,
this
dude.
and you
Mr.
don't know
Fantastic
him,
now.
Mr. Fantastic, he was
Yeah.
Gladiator in Gladiator 2,
Oh,
he
he
was in
was in Gladiator
Mandalorian.
too.
Yeah, yeah, that movie wasn't that good, but we won't go there. So yeah, he's everywhere. He's kind of like America's daddy right now.
Yeah.
He's and then we got Bella Ramsey as Ellie. What she's most famous for is playing Lyanna Mormont in Game of Thrones, like the little
Mhm.
girl who killed the giant. Um, Gabriel Luna as Tommy, Joel's brother. He's been in actually more stuff than I thought. He was in a lot of episodes of Agents of Shield, which I actually didn't watch, but
Oh,
that show was on for a while and pretty successful. And then he was in the most recent Terminator, Dark Fate, which I also did not see, but yeah,
all the
uh,
reviews. Not good, dude.
yeah. Caitlin Dever as Abby. This is a new
Yes.
character.
Yes.
She was in Booksmart and Dope Sick. Those are kind of the two,
Yeah.
I think, more popular things she was in.
Fun fact, that was when I was following the casting for Ellie when the show was first coming out, she was a really popular name getting thrown around. And I think she
Interesting.
would have made a really great Ellie.
She looks like her from the game. Like
She
when I
she
see
definitely
side by
looks
sides.
way more like her, yeah. But she is a little
Yeah,
bit older, so
yeah.
yeah.
Interesting though. I mean, that's cool that she's they're including her in it.
Yeah.
I also when I was watching the episode, I was like, I definitely seen her super recently, and she's in some like Expedia commercial where she's like an actress, and then she's like so tired, and she goes to some spa, and I was like,
I
that's
see.
her, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and then a couple others, Isabella Merced. I don't know if I probably botched that last name. I'm sorry if I did. As Dina, who's also a new character. She played Dora in the Explorer in like I think
That's crazy.
2014.
I was
She's
wondering where I saw her before.
So she's actually been in a lot. She was in Alien Romulus. She was in Sicario 2, and I remember she was like the girl that
Mm,
yeah, and then she was in Madame Web, which was apparently was like one of the worst movies of all time. But
yeah.
yeah, she's
All
been in a lot of decent stuff recently.
yeah.
And then this one I was really excited about Catherine O'Hara as the therapist.
Yeah.
So she was Moira in Schitt's Creek, obviously Beetlejuice, and then OG, the mom in Home Alone. I mean, that was like big part of my childhood. Every
That's
Christmas.
literally her signature role, dude. She probably still
Yeah.
gets, "Where's Kevin?"
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So I love her. So I'm excited that she's in this.
Yeah.
And we'll go from there. So I guess yeah, let's get into the episode. Spoiler
There's
alert.
there's one more
Oh
casting
yeah.
that I was really excited about was
Yep.
Mizuno, young Mizuno as Jesse. If you haven't seen it, his big role was in Beef. Um,
Okay.
and amazing show, and he did a fantastic job. And I think he is perfectly casted as Jesse from the game. So
Which one's Jesse?
he's the Asian dude,
Oh, okay. He was like
the
teaching her how
Korean
to
guy.
fight
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff.
Yo, you should
Gotcha.
watch Beef.
Okay.
I would love to do like a review about Beef because that show was unbelievable.
Yeah, I've heard good things. Yeah, yeah. Cool. All right. So this is a spoiler alert. We're gonna get into the episode now. So if you haven't seen it, pause us, watch, come back. All right. So Brian, I would like to hear your initial thoughts on this first episode.
Can't really say I loved it that much.
I knew that was coming.
So, I think that there was some moments that I liked, and then there were a lot of moments where it kind of drove to a point where, it was hard for me to recognize Ellie, especially. Some of the things that Ellie did in this episode, I'm like watching this, and my reaction is like, Ellie would never do that, you know. So that part was kind of tough. There were some moments that I liked. Let's start with that. You know, I really liked that they opened the shot with Abby. Abby's a very important character. She's actually a playable character in parts of the second game, and she really drives a lot of the plot in the second game. So she's really, really important. And I think a huge mistake of the second game is that they didn't develop her enough until, something big happens. And I thought that was a huge mistake where here, we get to see her motivation right away and we get to see that side, and I really hope they kind of flesh her out a little bit more. Otherwise, I don't think this is going to be a role that the actress really appreciates either. So, I think she's in for a pretty rough ride.
And
But
and
Caitlin,
Abby is just to remind people. So Abby was like one of the Firefly people, right, in the beginning when they're burying the people that Joel killed at the end of last season. She's one of the yeah.
yeah, so she's like one of the remnants of the Fireflies. Um, but yeah, so I hope to see her fleshed out a little bit more. But and I'm glad that they started introducing her early. I really liked some of the downtime that we got with Joel. It was really interesting. Especially in the second game. Another thing that I wish that they did was, in the second game, Joel has really kind of like blossomed into this like peaceful lifestyle. He does a lot of woodworking in the game now that you only see through Easter eggs. He picks guitar back up, and the guitar becomes really, really essential as like a theme throughout the second game as well. And you really see like the softer side of him in the second game. But you don't really get to see too much of that throughout the game. So I'm glad that we're able to see that side, him going to therapy, him, tinkering with like all these things, helping out building homes. Thought that was a perfect job. That wasn't something from the game either. But perfect job, he was a contractor, only makes sense. So I really like that they flesh out those parts. My biggest problem is that, Ellie so in the first season, right? She was a girl that basically survived on her own until she is the age of 14, right? And she got through her whole life by being smart and being tough, right? And at one point, this is the same girl that when Joel gets impaled, has to take care of herself for weeks and then almost gets eaten, if not something worse, by a bunch of cannibals, and then literally like cleaves a man's head off with a machete to survive. Of all people, she knows how dangerous this world is. So for me, it made no sense whatsoever to completely wash that away with another 5 years of experience and have her, being making these really stupid decisions to go in really recklessly just to take out some infected. It's the actions of a kid who doesn't understand the dangers of the world. Of all people, Ellie should be the last one doing that. So that really, really frustrated me, especially because in the game, Ellie has really matured. In when she's 19, she has fully evolved into a weapon of her own. She is almost like Joel levels of dangerous, and she is very dangerous. And, that's not something that she would ever do in the game, just go risking her life and her friends for something really, really stupid. So that really, that was a change where I'm like watching this and I'm like, dude, I don't even know who that is. And it got to a point where, I can't, I think Bella Ramsey's a really talented actress. I just, it feels really like a wrong fit for her. And I think that, this Ellie, it's a little bit the
Yeah.
writing really unlikable, and it's really frustrating for me, especially being so familiar with her character in the game.
Yeah,
But
no, I it's
yeah,
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
no,
I definitely want to expand on that because that was definitely one of my biggest talking points I had
dude,
from this episode. Um, I like she was a little shit in this episode, dude.
dude, she's so
Like
full of herself, so
I
full of herself.
and like what also annoys me is like they all put up with it. Like and like I understand like she's 19, like she's a teenager, like
Yeah,
well, kind of. I mean, you're kind of you're a teenager, but you're an adult at that point. But like yeah, dude, she was acting like she was like 14, and like I just didn't understand it. And I mean, she had that was kind of her character last season too, but she was 14. And like
Yeah,
she was, this guy was now like, I mean, think about the situation she was thrust in. So I understand like she's not, it took her a while to
yeah,
warm up to Joel and all that and him to her. But now it's different where it's like they're in this community, right? They're have a as normal of a life as you can have in this world. And she's just a little shit in this episode. And
a
I'm
little
wondering like
shit.
we'll see how the season goes, but I feel like I'm gonna find it hard to root for her this season. Like I found it hard in this episode. Not that I wanted her to die, like obviously, and I knew she wouldn't, like, but because she's the main character. But yeah, man, I don't like they just it was just all of a sudden like she was a dick to everyone, to Tommy, to
Yeah,
Joel, like to the people, I forget their names, but like when they went out on
yeah.
the scouting, trip report, whatever, and wasn't listening to them, and they're just yeah, her and Dina are just like willy nilly, like so excited to go kill
Cracking
infected. Like,
jokes, you know,
would you be
like
that excited to go into an abandoned grocery store and kill infected?
yeah, this she's acting she acts it's not even that the fact that she acts like a teenager for me, it's that she acts like a kid that doesn't understand how the world works, you know?
Right.
And that for me, it just undermines everything that she went through. Her entire character arc in season 1 just kind of feels like it was just thrown to the garbage can and starting over. You know, it's like she's 14 all over again and never left anywhere and, and she's just doesn't know how things work anymore, you know? So it's, for me, it's like, of all people, she should know. She should be the last one, putting lives at risk. Just she knows like what's out there. So I'm like, I'm just watching this and I'm like, who is that? Who is that?
Yeah. Yeah. And they went so like they went so hard on that like in this episode of her being that way that like I'm wondering
Yeah.
if that was to like over the season she'll kind of mature and like become kind of what you're explaining how she is in the game. I'm wondering if like they're really just like hitting that home, they're taking a different approach, but over the season she'll mature. I don't know. I mean, right now, yeah, she's reckless. I think she just like she thinks she's just
You think
invincible
she's the shit,
because
dude? Yeah.
because she can't get infected. But like I don't know, even that dude, like if I got bit, I would still be like worried. Like, what if it changes? What if my
Yeah.
physiology changes? Like, you don't know anything about how this even works. So it's like, I don't know, it's crazy. Yeah. And I mean it's annoying, like Jesse, like the guy who sent them out, like he's just putting up with it. He's like laughing, like he's like smirking and
Yeah.
everyone like, and Tommy just gives in so easy about like her going on the scouting trip, like the recon trip. Like he just like, okay, yeah, like 1300, but it's like, dude, be an adult, like tell this like essentially kid, like no, like
Yeah.
you gotta, especially in this world, it's just I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went really hard on that aspect this
Yeah.
episode, so we'll
And
see. But
I think it would have worked a lot better where, she's put in a scenario. So, I was really thinking about this, but the scenario basically was there was no need for her to put herself at risk, and she basically went thrill seeking, right? But if they wanted to do something like that, what they should have done instead was basically have it be a very real threat where these infected, if they don't do something, they might actually reach the town. So Ellie makes a decision to basically take care of it there, like right there, because she knows she's capable. Instead of, risking going all the way back, trying to get back up and then coming back, that would have made a lot more sense. And that would have been a lot more Ellie because it's not a needless risk. It's more of a, hey, I'm capable, I can do this. Um, we need to take care of this right now kind of scenario, and it just it was
yeah,
just a weird,
they're
weird
doing it for
delay.
sport. They're just doing it for
Yeah.
sport at that point.
Thrill seeking. They're
Yeah,
like, ooh, who can kill more infected in there? I'm like, bro, this is not a game. None of this
yeah,
is a game.
yeah. Also, like I don't even know why would you want to like, even like touch them. Like
Yeah.
she's like running up and like stabbing the
Yeah.
I forget the name of
But
the
it's not
one,
just her,
but
she's like encouraging Dina to like put her life at risk too. So I'm like,
yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if I think Dina is just as reckless. Like
yeah,
I think they're feeding off each other. That's what I got from this
yeah,
episode. Like I don't know if it's I mean, I think they're kind of encouraging each other and like they're just like willy-nilly like, yeah, screw it. Let's just do it. We can do it. And it's like, dude, you guys are I mean, I don't know. It's just
yeah.
yeah. But so
Um,
yeah, I think we're echoing a lot of what people are saying too after this episode. I don't have an issue. I don't. I mean, is that a Bella Ramsey thing or is that just a writing thing? To me, that's a writing thing. Like they're definitely
yeah,
telling her, "Hey, act this way," and
yeah,
she's doing it, and I think she does it very well. I don't. Everyone has like this issue with Bella Ramsey. I don't like. I don't know. I don't know if it's her. I think it's just like how they're writing the character.
yeah. Here's my th thought about that. If her acting is good, she is a talented actress, but because she doesn't look like Ellie, I think because now that the writing is also diverging from the character that Ellie is, now it like really becomes hard to like associate one another with the game versus the show itself. And I think that's kind of where that comes from. Whereas if she really looked like Ellie, then people might be like, oh, like that's she looks like Ellie, but the writing isn't really Ellie. Where she might be a little bit more forgiving, but now there's like this is basically a totally different character with a similar
Yeah,
name.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah,
we'll see how the season goes. But Ellie's definitely, yeah, it's a that was like probably my biggest takeaway from this episode, just like
yeah.
how her character is.
I started getting mad. I was literally watching that, being like, "What are you doing?
Yeah, yeah.
Get out of
I
there
mean,
right now!"
especially like they go. So let's talk about the bear. That was cool.
Sure.
So they're on the recon mission. They see the blood trail.
Mhm.
The squad leader at that point was like, no, let's go back. And they're just like, nah, we're going. Okay.
Yeah,
There's strike one. It's like, come on.
yeah,
And then they follow it, and they find like a couple dead infected and a dead bear with like its guts out. And so I thought that was like really interesting. But if you see that, and then you're gonna like just let's go run into the building where this bear that something killed this bear, like something
yeah,
probably so I mean I don't know, like I'm hoping it's kind of a new infected. I know you might know, so obviously don't give anything away. But like I'm hoping there's something kind of to that, and they explore that. That'd be cool. But like to see
yeah,
that and then be like, oh, we're just gonna run this building. Like you have no idea what's in there. And
yeah,
then she does encounter a new infected, which was pretty cool. I thought that scene was probably my favorite scene of the
yeah,
episode. That's like the suspense I was talking about. I think this show is really good at building that suspense. And especially with that thing like crawling and you see it like in the corner of the screen. And it's like behind her. So like I thought that shot was cool when she's moving across like the shelves and like the infected is like crawling like a little bit behind her and
yeah.
you see it like through the aisleway, like just lagging behind her a bit. I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, that is actually a type of infected from the first game.
It is
Um,
okay. Okay,
yeah.
we just didn't see it in the show. I don't think.
I mean, we only got like three infected, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
one of the loader, but yeah. So it's cool. I like that they're also putting a lot of significance on it potentially taking intelligence.
hmm
So I thought that was really cool. So I'm excited to see where they go with that. We've already seen a lot of changes from how the infected operate versus the game. Just as a reminder, in the game, it's very spore driven. So
right.
it's like so they have entire areas where it's if you breathe it in, you'll die and you'll become infected, right? So they've totally done with away with that, and instead they're going like a tendril route. And
Yep.
so they ended that first episode with the tendrils growing through the pipes.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, that is not in the game, so I have no idea
Oh,
where they're
cool.
no
Okay.
idea where they're at. So I'm excited to see that. And that's what I'm saying, where I do think there's going to be quite a bit of changes, just in terms of overall plot, uh, from the game to the show. So I'm pretty excited. I'm excited that, I didn't. There were a lot that happened in the game that I wasn't a fan of. So I think there's a lot of room for improvement here.
Yeah, that's exciting. I mean, yeah, we talked about how the concept of like they introduced this tendril system where it's like everything's
Yeah.
connected and it can communicate from across vast areas. I thought that was cool. And then they didn't do
Nothing.
a whole lot with that.
Nothing.
Like after the first episode
Forgot
when
about
they're
it.
in Boston and they show it, right? And they're trying to,
Yeah.
and then they didn't do anything with it after. And it
Yeah.
was like, what the hell? So I think they're already hopefully they don't do the same thing where they set it up in this first couple episodes and they don't like come back to it. I hope that plays a big role,
Yeah.
at least in terms of the yeah, like how they interact with the infected. But yeah, I'm hoping we see some new ones and just more overall. I think they're going to because I think again like that was a lot of the big thing that people were annoyed about in the first season or disappointed with not seeing a lot of that. So and I mean at least from like the trailers, I mean it looks like we do get a lot of it like hordes at some
Yeah.
point. So I'm excited to see where they go with that.
I'm
Um
excited, dude. I want to
yeah.
see Joel take down some motherfuckers, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. He kills way more people in the first season than infected. It's
Yeah.
wild. Like he
Yeah.
kills so many people in that first season.
Yeah.
And then he kills like
Almost exclusively in the last episode, though.
well, yeah, I mean fair. Like that was and obviously I mean that, that was crazy. So
Yeah.
um so yeah, we'll see where that goes. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think this whole yeah, this stalker they were calling it, I think that's interesting, like the intelligence. I thought it was the way they did it was kind of cool. Like she almost had like horns like coming
Yeah.
out. Like it almost she looked like she you know what she reminded me of? Remember like Left for Dead and like the witch? I don't know if you remember like the creepy you played Left for Dead, right? Like back in the
Yeah. A
Xbox
long
360
time
days.
ago, though. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Super
like
long.
you'd be walking through and the creepy music would start and you would hear some like woman crying and it was like this like witch zombie that like was super powerful and like if you disturbed her she would like attack one person and essentially just
Yeah.
kill them. So I kind of got those vibes, like it reminded me of that because like I don't know, she kind of just looked like some like infected like witch zombie thing.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool how they did that. So I'm again I'm hoping they don't just leave that up to like, oh yeah, we saw her in the first episode and now we don't
Oh,
see
and
that
they
type of
never bring it
infected
back?
again.
Oh, what a
They
waste.
better,
Yeah.
yeah, they would waste an opportunity there. So,
Yeah.
um,
There
would you,
were
would you, oh yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, on top of that, there were a couple of moments that they reenacted that were pretty iconic from the game as well. That was pretty dope to see. So one of them was the dancing scene where Ellie and Dina kiss. So, a little PC, but it was cool to see exactly, them play that scene for scene out from the game, and the relationship between Dina and Ellie is really important. It's super, super important. And I hope it's not this whole like toxic, like, oh, like, let's go get them kind of energy, but it is
Mm,
really well done in the game. So I'm excited to see that come through. And then Jesse, again, Jesse's a really important character in the game that actually really involved in a lot of really important plot elements, but actually is not that fleshed out. So that's another character that I'm really excited to see, and I hope they really do him proper justice as well.
yeah.
Um, there's a couple of things in the game that I do hope they bring to life, like a
Let,
lot of gameplay elements.
yeah.
The
Let me,
combat,
let me, let me, let me just, before you move on to that stuff,
sure.
I do want to expand on what you just said because
Yeah.
I agree. So I think, the Dina Ellie relationship, I think having a love interest puts more stakes on things. So I'm like
Mhm.
totally good with that. Like I'm obviously like in if they did had love interest for Ellie last season, that would make sense. She's 14, but like now she's grown up, like she's an adult, like, and I like that. So I'm very excited to see where that goes. Again,
Yeah.
I just think like it's you get more fleshed out characters when there is some sort of relationship that they have with other people, especially when it's a romantic relationship, right? So I'm happy they're doing that. And then Jesse seems like a cool character. I'm happy you're saying that he's important in the game. So I'm hoping he is important because I don't know. I mean, like if not knowing anything about where the season is going, I would just think he's like a guy in like the first few
Yeah.
episodes and disappears. So I'm excited that you're saying that because he does seem like a cool character.
Yeah,
But
but I will
yeah,
say, in the game, he's respected. Like here, Ellie and Dina are constantly talking down on him.
they don't
And
respect anyone. They don't
they don't
respect anyone.
respect anybody.
That's the thing, and
Yeah,
they all just put up with it.
yeah.
I don't
But in
quite
the game,
understand it, but
like Ellie's a good soldier. She does her
mm,
part. She doesn't, she's not like acting out. She's, here I would think she was a problem. So
yeah,
just last point about that. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, so continue, yeah, because you start talking about like the combat
Yes.
aspect, yeah,
Yeah, the combat in the second game, dude, it's masterfully done. Like some of the gameplay elements in the second game, it's stuff of genius, and I'm excited to see, us uh how the show interprets some of those elements. For example, the show places a lot of emphasis on human life. So basically every person that Ellie kills, the game tries to make you feel like that's a real person. In a way that it does that is, like you're in combat and you kill somebody, the other enemies will react and they'll be like, Brad, no, you killed my friend. And they'll become way more aggressive. Some will become like really angry and like suicide charge you or something. And it just goes to show like even the enemies have their own like relationships.
Mm.
So, I'm pretty, I want to see them be able to bring that to life in this. My another problem that I had in about the first season was that they really toned down a lot of the death. Like again, Joel was an absolute killing machine, right? So for me, it was very jarring to see somebody that hardened now be so peaceful in the second season versus and the show. But in the game, now it's Ellie's turn, and Ellie's an absolute machine. But a big thing about this is that the people that she kills, there's uh, the body count from this game plays a very important aspect as to her decisions down the line for the game. So I do hope, not necessarily, it doesn't have to have a similar body count, but I do hope that they are able to capture, the actual violence of the second game as well. So we'll see.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That'd be interesting. I mean, I don't know how much of that element they brought into the first season from the first game. I
Yeah.
know we probably talked about that a bit. But yeah, I mean, I did because I played like a couple hours of the first game, and I thought when Ellie in this episode when she ran in and like jumped on the what's the infected called that like can't see but they have good hearing. I forget
Oh,
blanking on the name.
clicker.
Clicker, yes. So she jumped up and like stabbed the clicker a bunch of times. That's kind of like that's a way to kill him in the game. Like when you're Joel, you
Yeah,
like
it
grab
is.
him, you like stab him, or you just like choke him out. So
Yeah.
that kind of brought that back. Like it was a callback. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool because
Yeah,
they
it's
didn't
cool.
really do that too much in the first season. So yeah, no, I agree. I think it would be cool if they try to bring that to life. Um, I do have a couple questions for you. So
So,
when Ellie and Dina come back from the incident, on the recon mission, and they're telling like the council like what they saw, would you believe them or not? If you were on that council, would you believe them?
but I believe them.
Yeah,
So probably not. No. But then, here's kind of the thing where I want to see what the relationship between Ellie and the council is. In 5 years, I would expect Ellie to be a respected member of that community. But if all they do is act out, then I'll be like, she's a little shit. She could be just making stuff up just to mess with us.
yeah,
But Uh, if it's the Ellie from the game, then absolutely. I would, that's somebody who takes her job very seriously. Should have come back and be like, hey, they're smart ass clickers now. I'd be like, yo, hold up. Like, we need to take this very, very seriously. So, yes, my final answer is yes, I would believe them.
yeah. I think I would too. I mean, I don't as like cocky and as they are, I don't see why they would like lie about a new
Yeah.
infected. Like, they're not like out to get people. Like, they're trying to help in their own way. So I agree. I would believe them, but some of it, I what my fear would be that they would leave some of it out, which she did. I mean, she got bit. She didn't
She
tell
did.
anyone,
Yeah.
right? So like, God forbid, like, she wasn't immune anymore and like she's all around town infected,
Yes. Yeah.
that was like a thought I had, but yeah. Also, I thought it was interesting the conversation between Joel and Tommy's wife, whose name I'm blanking on. But
Me
yeah,
too.
I'll find it. But when they're talking
Maria,
about
Maria, Maria, Maria.
Maria, yes, and they're talking about bringing people in, right? Like people
Mhm.
who are showing up to their community and who are trying to have a home and get out of like this world. Um, I thought that was an interesting kind of moral dilemma conversation.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts on that? Like, are you more on Joel's side, where it's like we gotta take care of what we have here, or are you more on? Yeah, I'm
Keep them
curious to hear
out,
your.
bro. Keep them out. That's my thought. If I was running a settlement, I would be very strict about the people that I let in, and I would only want like people that I see that I view would be assets to the community to be allowed in. I think it's a very dangerous policy to just be allowing anybody, especially in times like this where things are far from over. You guys are just rebuilding. You let in the wrong people and everything can go to shit. So I don't get, so I'm more, way more on the side towards, I think Maria is being naive and foolish. And also, this is not in the game. So that conversation never
Yeah.
happened in the game. So I'm like, you didn't get this far letting anybody in. When they first ran into Joel and Ellie, they held him at gunpoint and basically the only reason they didn't shoot him dead on the spot was because he knew Tommy.
Yeah, I
So
mean, it's his brother, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
How,
it's complicated. It's really complicated. Like I think it's an interesting moral dilemma. I get both sides for sure. Um, like I don't think Maria's being naive and foolish. I think she's just trying to be. I think she's smart. She understands the risks. She's just trying to be a good human being and like she's trying to like save as many people as she can. But
Mhm.
that has its downside because sometimes you try to save more people and you end up killing everyone, right? But it's hard to know at the time. I think like I think from a like a logistical perspective, one, I think if you're going to bring people in, you need to have a way to confirm that they're not infected, which I assume they do. I remember in the first season, like the Fireflies or whatever had the little like
uh,
thing,
yeah,
that scanner thing. I assume. I mean, this they seem like they're pretty like they're pretty stocked up in this community. Like they got guns and firepower and all that stuff. I mean, they have electricity, like water, running water. Like this is a pretty I assume they have that. So I think, but you absolutely need that. If you don't, you can't let anyone in because they could be infected.
yeah,
Two, I kind of this is to get stuff because like I agree, like help with the community, but like let's say it's like a 75-year-old man and a like his 40-year-old son who is able and fit to do to help, and the old man can't. Like, are you gonna let the son in but not the old man? Well, the son's not gonna he's not gonna be cool with that. So
yeah.
what do you do in that case?
I will
It's
say though, I do think at this point of the world, if you're 75 and you're alive, then you must be a badass,
Yeah,
dude.
you've been doing something right.
Yeah, even
If you're
you
75
must
and you're
be.
showing up to Jackson Hole,
Yeah.
Wyoming
You
through the
must be a
snow,
hardcore motherfucker. Let him
yeah,
in.
yeah, you're doing something right, dude. He has a good shot or something. You know what I mean? Like, so, yeah, I agree. But it's tough.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll explore that more or not. Like, I don't know if we'll have time to, right? Like you could make a whole show about like just that kind of concept. Like, and
Yeah.
they've kind of done that before, but I don't know how much time they'll have to explore that, maybe some. But
I
it's a really interesting moral
I think I
question.
can I can see where they're going with that though, and I think it would be pretty interesting,
Yeah.
depending but again, it kind of falls, I could see them diverging like a lot from the plot. And in some ways I hope they do, so we'll see.
Yeah. Uh I like the therapy stuff. Is that in the game?
It is not.
Okay.
And at first, I actually didn't like it because I always saw Joel as the kind of guy who would just pen up his feelings. But then I really thought about it, and this is a softer Joel, and that's kind of why I was saying, this is a softer Joel. This is a Joel that now it doesn't seem like he's killed anybody in quite a while, and he has really kind of accepted a much more serene side of himself. And now he's into like things like woodworking, and now he's
Hmm.
building homes for people, and he's trying to help people. So that's kind of an area where I came to accept that, okay, now because of all the things that he's done and all everything he had to do to survive and then losing his daughter and then now going through whatever turmoil he's currently going through with Ellie right now. Yeah. And I came to a part where I was like, okay, this Joel I can see wanting to talk to a therapist.
Yeah.
I will say though, um, it being the lady or the wife of the man that he killed,
So
I
yeah,
don't
I'm
know.
really interested in that. I'm
Yeah.
I'm really hoping we get more of that story.
Yeah. That's just a lack of self-awareness, Joel. Come on.
Well, but we don't know in the context of why
Yeah,
he
that's true.
killed him. I don't think
Yeah.
Joel would just kill him. And she even says that she said like I know you had to do it, but I
Yeah.
still can't forgive you. So I really hope this isn't something that they just move on from and don't go back to. I really would like to know what happened there. I'm
Yeah.
assuming he was like may be infected. Like he
Hmm.
may have gotten infected. They didn't know. And so Joel just pulled the trigger and couldn't take the chance. That's
Yeah.
kind of what I would think. Like that's where my head went to at first, like with why he would kill him. Uh, I don't know. Otherwise, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there could be a lot of possibilities, but
Neither characters are in the game, so I have no idea. So I honestly
okay.
have no clue. So
Yeah.
again, this is very exciting, and I could see
Yeah.
them. If so, I have a guess as to where this season will end going into the third season. And if my guess is right, they will have to add a lot. They're going to have to add a lot of material to this season
Okay.
and really flesh things out, which I think would be brilliant. I think it would be so good, and I think it's really what the game needed too. So, yeah. So I'm excited to see where it goes too. There's a lot I don't know, so
Yeah. That's exciting. I mean, I just I'm a little hesitant to get too excited about that stuff because again, I don't know what they'll actually explore and what they won't.
yeah. They've
Because
they've swung and they've missed on a lot of things too. They've tried to
yeah,
do a bunch of stuff in the first season, missed on some, hit some things pretty well. So we'll see.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. So Dina, she's in the game, I
Yeah,
assume, right? Yeah.
she is huge
I thought
character, very very important character.
I liked her as a character. She was kind of similar to Ellie and like that, like like she's a troublemaker, she's cocky, but she seemed like a little more grounded than Ellie. Like she seems more mature. I don't know if they're the same age or not in the show. I'm not.
They're
I don't know if
supposed to be.
they are supposed to be it because I know Ellie's 19.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so I mean, I think she could be a good character as long as they don't screw that up. And we'll see kind of where her and Ellie go.
Yeah, she's a lot more rebellious than Ellie in the game. So her acting like that, I could kind of see. Not necessarily to the point where she's like, "Oh, like let's go risk our lives," but in the game, so the game opens with basically this Jesse coming to get Ellie after the party that we just saw. And that's where the game very open it's the very opening sequence. And then you get to see through like a flashback what happened at the party and everything. And then you see Joel pushing the guy that called him Dykes, and then Ellie kind of freaking out at him. And then they leave on this mission together. And but they handle it really well. They are basically professionals.
Mhm.
So that's kind of what I was hoping to see. And basically, Ellie act like a professional, which she should be at this point, 5 years of experience. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Agreed. I had another point, and oh, so with Ellie again,
mhm.
uh, do you think she knows that what Joel did in the first season? And
I
is
mean,
that
I
the
know the answer to that question, so I feel like I shouldn't answer that. But
okay?
if you want
Okay,
me to talk
no,
on it,
don't.
well,
No.
yeah,
I'm glad you said that. That's good.
yeah,
That's how it. Yeah. Um, so I guess I'll give my perspective. I think she
yes,
does, but I don't think she knows like so I think she knows that like he saved I think she knows he's lying to her. And that's like a big part of the reason why they have
mhm,
this kind of, grift right now. Um and but I don't think she knows exactly what he did. And I hope I hope we get that conversation. I really do. Like I hope like that all comes to light and the truth comes out and then she learns what she did and it's even worse than what she thought before. Like
oh
he
shit,
actually killed like 12 people to
yeah,
save her when she didn't really want to be saved. Like she wanted to, she was willing to like, well, I don't know. We had that whole conversation at the first season. I had a problem with that. But anyway, she said she wanted to like help how she could, right? So like if that was how it went and she had to like give up her brain for the good of humankind, like that's what she said. She didn't want him to interfere, and he did, obviously. So I think she knows that he's lying, but I don't think she knows to the extent, and I think it's going to make it even worse when she finds out what he actually did. And I'm kind of hoping that you know maybe that, and this is all just speculation, obviously, but maybe like the fireflies that are coming after them, right? She finds out from them and like kind of finds the truth from them.
oh,
And then it's like a confrontation with Joel versus like Joel just telling her. But we'll see. I think that would be like a really interesting kind of dynamic.
Where would you
Um,
go with the story after that?
so what she finds out from them.
Yeah.
I mean, we would.
And then
I don't know
confronts
how
Joel.
she. Yeah, I mean, I guess the question would be how would what setting would she find out from the Fireflies? Of like, would she be out on patrol and they would find her and then they try to use her to get the Joel and then they tell her what happened? Maybe that's a way to do it. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to speculate on that, but
Yeah.
where do we go from there? I mean,
Yeah.
I ultimately like I think Joel and Ellie's like relationship will like mend. I think they'll bring that back, and like I think they will mend at some point. But I think there'd be a lot of hardship in between there. So like she finds out what he did. Maybe they split off for a while or something, and then some point like their paths align again because they almost feel like destined to be like in each other's lives. Like after everything that happened in the first season and all that,
Yeah.
and like he saves her, she saves him. It almost seems kind of like destiny, but that's all kind of like a load of bullshit at the same time. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. It would be interesting to see.
Yeah. I hope we get to see Joel and Ellie working together again.
Yeah,
It does the show feels pretty empty. It doesn't feel like The Last of Us without seeing them, like working
yeah,
together and at least being on good terms, So, we start at a very tense period of their relationship. So, I would be remiss if we didn't get to see them working together again before the end of the season.
yeah. I totally agree. Totally
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. Yo, you should play the second game, dude. I
But I
think
got to play
that,
the first one first.
well, I think that I would play the first one if you wanted to be able to see the difference between the first and between the show and the game. But I mean, plot wise, the show's pretty faithful overall.
Hmm.
I do think it's worth playing, just because the game is so much better, so much better.
Hmm.
But if you want to, but plot wise, it's very faithful. So I would play the second game. If you wanted to play the second game, then you'd be able to experience the gameplay in that game is so good, dude. Like they bring out dogs. Oh my gosh, I can't wait for the dogs. But they make you feel so bad about killing dogs, dude.
Oh wow.
Dude, yeah, they
I
make you
mean,
feel
yeah,
terrible. You kill
yeah.
you kill one of the owners of the dogs, and the dog doesn't even chase after you anymore. It starts mourning its owner,
Oh
and then
wow.
and you just feel terrible about it.
Yeah, that's pretty real world. That's pretty
Yeah,
real world. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I don't really have anything else to say. Do you have anything else you want to kind of close out with?
yeah. I think overall, no, I'm not a big fan of the change of Ellie. I do hope it is what you're saying, and they're like trying to do this mini character arc where she understands what her role is and then becomes, like the full-fledged community member that we do see in the game. But in the game, her character is so different. She doesn't even crack that many jokes anymore. She's a lot darker. She's a lot more serious. She's very angsty as well. But then towards the
Yeah.
end of the game, again, she's basically Joel. She's like the jaded Joel from the first game. So, I'm excited to see that character arc. I hope Bella Ramsey can deliver. It's going to be a tough role. I think the second game more so than the first game because of its scope. We see Ellie through a couple of stages of life, and I think it's going to really test her as an actor. So I'm excited to see whether or not she can deliver, how the writing is able to try to deliver on a couple of this.
Yep.
And then I really hope that, they don't really tone down. There's a couple of moments that I am worried about them being able to do it justice, but we'll have to see. Another character, Abby, we haven't talked about Abby at all, but Abby is a huge character in the second game. Not my favorite. And full disclosure, when the character was first announced and when introduced in the game, she was very hated, So I think
Mm.
it's going to be a tough role for Caitlin Denver as well, unless she can just absolutely knock it out of the park. The other thing, Abby is supposed to be swole, bro. I'm talking, this is like the jackedest girl you have ever seen.
Yeah, she's
Uh,
definitely not that in
no,
this
she's
show.
not that. Yeah.
She's yeah, she's pretty skinny.
Yeah, but and she is a brawler in the game. So like when you
Yeah.
control her, she's an absolute brawler. So it's a little jarring to see. So for me, it's like, the girl who's playing Abby should be playing Ellie. And then if anything, Bella kind of has like a bit of a stockier build and could have played Abby, So I don't know, but I think
Yeah.
that I'm excited to see it. I think there's a couple of characters from the Fireflies that are going to be really really important. So excited to see that as well. And then there's a whole different group out there that is going to enter the picture. Maybe not this season, maybe next season, depending on how the spacing works. But that whole different group is crazy, bro. That is a totally different thing. It's night and
Okay.
day. Yeah,
Okay.
pretty excited about that. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I definitely, it'd be cool to explore more of the world, like in general.
yeah,
We didn't feel like we didn't get a whole lot of Firefly stuff in the first season. It was really
mm,
like the beginning and the end. And the only
mm,
like character that they was really even important was like the commander of them, who like kind of, she's in the first episode, like she has hold of Ellie essentially, and then she like has Joel and whatever name take her, and then like, he finds her in Salt Lake City and like she's there again leading them. But other than that, yeah, we didn't really get a whole lot of like exploring the Fireflies. So
yeah,
when they started this season with that part, I was like, okay, this could be cool. Like I'm into this. Yeah.
yeah. I think Neil Druckmann talked about it before, and the whole theme of the first game is love, but the theme of the second game is revenge. So
Okay. All
yeah,
right.
we're in for a ride. I think
Yeah.
either way, there's so much potential here. Like I said before, the first game, it's honestly, it's kind of hard to mess up, and they missed on a lot of things, but they hit the most important parts right. As basically as long as you get Sarah's death right, and get Joel saving Ellie in the very end to complete that arc, and then you're able to flesh out their relationship. It's basically, as long as you get two characters and their relationship right, then people are going to love the show. It's a story about a guy who loses his daughter and then chooses his surrogate daughter, over the future of the world. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That in
Yeah.
itself is amazing. So, but the second one, it could be beautiful, it could be terrible, they could change every aspect of this. There's just this one is very up in the air because of how big the second game is.
Yeah.
So, this one I'm a little bit worried about. This is going to definitely test everybody involved. It's going to test the writers, it's going to test the directors, the actors. Some of these roles are going to be really intense. So, we'll have to see. I think this is going to be a much better test, bigger test, in terms of how good of a showmaker are you than the first season was.
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited to see.
Yeah.
Um, do we know how many episodes this season's going to be? Is it 10?
I would guess 10. I'm actually going to try to look it
Yeah.
up. Unless you're looking
Yeah.
it
I
up right now.
think they did that
Yeah.
in the first season. Yeah.
I am not seeing it. 7.
Oh,
Whoa,
wow.
that's short.
Well, they're splitting it up in two seasons, so they
Yeah,
have,
that's
but that is pretty short. Yeah,
mm,
seven's really short. I would have said at least eight. I would have said at least eight,
mm.
but
That does make me think that my initial hypothesis, what I was initially thinking in terms of where they're going to end the game, I think that would be. They're gonna have to add a lot though. That I'm
yeah.
talking like the event that I'm talking about would basically be like 2 hours into the game. So I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But there's a lot that they can flesh out. There's a ton. There's a lot of flashbacks in the back half of the game that I need to see. Like I need to see these. Like I want to see them this season. And I think there's you get some really amazing moments between Joel and Ellie through flashbacks, and they're really cute and really wholesome and really important.
I
Okay.
don't think you'll see all of them. I wouldn't get your hopes up that much.
I
Like
need one. I need one. I
you,
need one. I
you
want
only got
one
you
this
got
season.
6 episodes left.
Yeah.
It's like,
We'll
so
see.
I can't believe it's only seven, but yeah, I mean, I would tamp your expectations a little bit with how much we get from the
Yeah.
game just because of it, it's always hard to adapt it to the screen too. Like you have way less time
Yeah.
to do that. It's same with books to movies and shows. So we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see. I'm excited though.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Okay.
I think going forward, we definitely want to keep doing this for The Last of Us on a regular schedule. So we'll probably do it weekly. Andor season two is starting up, I think, next week. I would love to review that. I'm thinking maybe that's more of a like we do clusters of episodes because I think doing that week to week while Last of Us is going on is gonna be really tough for us, especially with just like living on different opposite sides of the country and
Yeah.
it's kind of hard. So we'll see.
My expectations for Andor aren't that high though.
All right, well, let's save that for the Andor podcast. All right, 'cause I'm pretty excited, but and then there's probably yeah, I'm sure there's some movies coming out this summer that we could review, and those will be more of like one
Sinners.
offs. Sinners.
Sinners. Yeah. It's that Michael B. Jordan movie that's coming out.
Oh, that
Yeah,
that
dude, it's
looks
got
interesting.
100% on Rotten Tomatoes right now.
Is it out
I don't think
or
it's,
is that like critic?
it is Critic.
Yeah,
But I'm going to
critics.
see it on the 25th.
Okay.
And it comes out tomorrow.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want to go see that, then we could do a review on that. I'm pretty excited for that. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
But it's got
Yep.
Michael B. Jordan, Haley Steinfeld. It's a Ryan Coogler movie, so it's strong cast. It's basically about black farmers getting attacked by white vampires. So we'll see.
Oh yeah. The commercials look really interesting. I don't really know what it's
Yeah, it,
about,
it
but there's
looks really
definitely like
interesting.
some horror elements to
Yeah,
it. Yeah, it looks cool. Cool. All right. Well, yeah, we'll figure it out, but we'll definitely be back every week for The Last of Us season two, and then
can't wait.
we'll go from there. So thanks for watching, everyone. If you like this episode, please make sure to like the video, subscribe to our channel, Pables and Jables, for more content, and always feel free to comment below on any thoughts you have about the show or how much we sucked at the podcast. No, and any comment on like other movies or shows you'd like us to review. So yeah, thank you. We greatly appreciate the support. As we start this back up. After the hiatus, we want to try to
Hiatus.
do this more consistently. So we appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Peace.